Well, that was just crazy. Hey everybody, this is Josie with Ozark Mountain Goats. I am here in our basement storage room where we keep our canned goods and canning supplies, and we're on a mission today. You know, when we moved here 3+ years ago, we lived in our cabin while we built our house. Well, we've got a small chest freezer and there wasn't room for it in the cabin, so we put it in our barn. And there it sits. It's still there, you know, 3 years later. So kind of out of sight, out of mind. We forget that it's out there. We forget that it's full of food, and so we don't use up the stuff like we should. Also, it's been such a hot summer. You know, the freezer really has to work hard to perform properly. So I have been busy this morning cleaning a space in the storage room to move the freezer into. So we are going to get it emptied out and put everything in the house freezers until we get it cleaned, and then we'll be moving it on in here. And when that's done, then I'd like to show you a little bit of what we have canned and stored, and kind of give you an idea of the things that we like to preserve for the coming year. So anyway, let's get started. Well, that was just crazy. We had so much food in there that I had totally forgotten about, so I think this is a good idea to get it moved. Anyway, as you can see, it's just a small chest freezer. So we've washed out the inside and got it plugged in. It's getting cold, so hopefully it won't be too long and we can get our food back in there. Get it organized. I've got lots of tubs, and at one time it was very neat and organized, but as we've dug around for stuff over the last couple of years, it's gotten, you know, it had gotten pretty bad. But anyway, our stuff barely fit into the house freezers, and so I only had to throw away a few things, and it needed to go anyway. So anyhow, I want to take this opportunity and kind of show you our storage room and what we got going on. So here's our little freezer, all cleaned out, looking good. And next to that, I have a table set up. We've got a printer there, along with my sewing supplies. And I don't do a lot of sewing, but when I need to, it sure does come in handy. Here we have a couple of shelving units with canning supplies and things like that. The bulk of our canning supplies, all the good stuff at least, is actually upstairs right now. Rather than constantly be lugging it back and forth at the beginning of the canning season, I move it upstairs and keep it in the spare bedroom closet. That way it's handy, and we're not constantly running back and forth looking for something. So this is where I keep my jars as they're being used up, or emptied out I should say. I've got a lot of boxes. I do keep my boxes because as we carry things down here after it's been processed, it gives us a way to move them safely and easily. So I've got a few empties there at the top. Those quarts should have been filled with tomato juice by now, but you know, we've had a rough season, so we've got some extra empty quarts. Otherwise, we pretty much use everything that we have. Over here in the corner, I've got a very few dry goods, and this is something that I would like to possibly get more into eventually. I have a bucket of beans that I have individually packaged up and then vacuum sealed, and then they're in one of those tubs that keeps it food safe. And then next to that, I've got some pasta that I've done the same thing with, that we have individually packaged and vacuum sealed and then put it in a nice tub. Now, I don't know if you've seen this company before or not, but in that tub right there are 60 meals, meat and poultry meals that are very easy to rehydrate. You just have to add boiling water, so it's kind of a survivalist type of a thing. So we thought we'd give that a try as well. All right, and here, as you can see, are my canned goods. So I think I'm gonna get the camera set up so that I can go through what we've got and give you a better idea of what everything is. Okay, to start with, I've got some canned tomatoes here. Now, we don't have a lot of them. In fact, we didn't put any up this year at all because I had some left from last year, and we don't use them a whole lot for chili, and that's mostly about it. So we use the bulk of our tomatoes for juice. And next to the tomatoes, I've got dilly beans. And these are pickled green beans, and they're nice and crunchy and really tasty. Then here we've got pickled beets, quite a few pints of those. And next to the pickled beets, we have got canned radishes. You know, we grew those big giant radishes this summer and canned them up like you would turnips. And so for us, we just warm them up on the stove, add bacon grease, salt and pepper, and maybe a little butter, and they're really good. So below that, I've got several rows of green beans. These are all this season's green beans. Then I've got a whole shelf of pickles, lots of different types. For instance, these are just sweet pickles that I've sliced up. We've got bread and butter pickles. We've got zesty bread and butter pickles. We've got regular dill pickles. So a lot of different varieties there. And then I've got one row of pickled okra, which we really, really like. If you like okra and you've never tried pickling it, it's very good. Then below that, I've got a few rows of my apple pie filling. Some of them are in quarts and some of them are in pints. I think these are actually last year's that I need to finish using up, and I probably was out of quart jars, so I ended up putting them in pints. Next to that, you know, we had made some sauerkraut this year, and we canned it up. Once it was fermented, we canned that up, and so that's what these are. Then I've got some pork and beans here, and I've also got chili, what I call chili hot beans, and these are so easy to do. I love doing dried beans, canning them, and you just add the spices that you like and can them up, and they're great to put in chili or whatever you need some spicy beans for. Below that, I've got our vegetable beef soup, and I love this stuff. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but we usually do this in a batch of 5 gallons at a time. We get, you know, 18 to 20 quarts usually. And it's got beef in it, it's got carrots, potatoes, green beans, corn, peas, lots of good stuff. And it's wonderful when you just need a quick meal. You can pop this open and heat it up on the stove, and it's delicious. Then here I have got some sweet potatoes that we canned. Here I've got ham and beans. This is kind of like the vegetable beef soup that we put up, in that it's completely cooked and ready to go. All you have to do is dump it in a pan and warm it up and serve it with some cornbread, and you've got a nice quick meal. Next to that, I've got some chunky applesauce and several rows of apple butter. And then if you've never tried Persimmon Jam, it's really good too. Our neighbor had given us some persimmons that they brought back with them from Mississippi, and we made a nice large batch of Persimmon Jam, and it is really delicious. So that takes us over to the other side. Up here we've got our blackberry jam that we did this year, and gosh, we love that stuff. So we've got lots of it, which I'm really happy about. Then we've got our tomato juice, and as you can see, I've left some space here. I plan to fill some of this up because I think we can get, you know, at least another 25 quarts of tomato juice before our plants are completely done for. I'm hoping anyway. Next to that, I've got carrots, and then on the end here I've got, I think, maybe 5 jars of corned beef. And I love having this stuff on hand because we like Reuben sandwiches, and you can drain the juice off of this and use this corned beef to make wonderful Reuben sandwiches. Or if you like corned beef and cabbage, we will do that as well. So this makes another really handy quick meal. Under that, we've got, these are all the pears that I've canned up in the last, I don't know, week or two. So I think we've got 43 pints of pears. Next to that, I've got some spaghetti sauce that we canned up. And this is our hot pepper relish that we love on crackers with cream cheese. I've got quite a few pints, and then I've also got some in jelly jars because it just makes it so nice to give them away that way. And then finally on the end, I have got some cranberry sauce that they're in the small jelly jars as well. It's really nice if you're having ham or pork or something. You can just pop one of these open and serve some of this with it. So that's it for our food storage. We're not quite done for the year. Hope to be adding to this. One of the things, or a couple of the things that we usually have that we don't, is we typically can up beef, so that we'll have that on hand, and we also can chicken. And we don't have any of that right now, but we probably will do that this winter once the garden is done. Another project that we plan to do is go ahead and make maybe a 5-gallon batch of chili and get that processed. So it sure is handy to have this food storage to supplement our meal planning, or actually be the meal itself, along with what we have in our freezer. You know, I can't say enough about food storage. Jim and I love to can and preserve, and I hope this has maybe given you an idea of what you can and preserve on your homestead. It gives you peace of mind. It gives you flexibility with meal preparation. It's so handy to have, and this will last us a year or more. So I want to encourage you to, if you've not started a food storage in your homestead, to give canning and preserving a try, and you'll be glad you did. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like us and subscribe and ring that bell, and we will catch you later.